It seemed like it was starting better, like we've talked about. They actually had a little bit of pep in their step to start, but Calgary gets that late goal on a rebound. Again, Hronek getting walked, similar to the goal he let in the first game in overtime.
Yeah, and a little mishandle by Hughes there on the rebound, and it just still scored on first, man. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, I wonder if it's one of those things with that pair, right, where I don't even think Hughes thought that was going to happen, right? So it's a late reaction, but at the end of the day, he didn't react quickly enough. So I guess we can call that one of the downs to start.
Yes. Yeah, let's get into it, I guess, eh?
Yeah. So, well, I guess we'll call it an up. They did actually come out decent, right?
Yeah, they started the third line like we've talked about numerous times here, and they got an offensive zone face-off 15 seconds in, which led to a couple Calgary icings and some momentum our way, but it still wasn't enough against a team coming off a back-to-back and some travel. You want to really get on them in a hurry and get some shots on net, but obviously that didn't quite happen. And then there were a couple weak clearing attempts early by Bluger and Susie that kind of it was a sloppy first 5 minutes, a little back and forth there.
Is it bizarre how different this season has begun for the Canucks in that vein? Because last year it seemed like every single game they scored first, and then this year it seems like almost every game they get scored on first. How does it change so drastically between two seasons?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that question get asked Tocchet the yesterday, I think it was, in his post practice talk, and yeah, it just doesn't really make much sense because we haven't changed much of the personnel that was doing all that quick striking last year. So obviously, losing Boeser puts a big hole in our top six. He was one of our most prolific scorers as of late. So. But that shouldn't affect the way we are starting games and trying to drive the offense and keep the game in the offensive zone. There are some guys out there that are having a better game so far than others. Höglander is having a strong start to this game so far. He had a great look off a pass from Petey about halfway through the period there. And like Blanky doesn't look like he has any ill effects from that big loss. I mean, he stoned Kuzmenko on that 2-on-1 there at the 8-minute mark, and is making all the right first saves. He didn't really have much chance there after the mishandled rebound. So,
maybe
yeah,
Höglander's not wanting to get shown up by Lekkerimäki, eh?
I would think he should probably pull his socks up. I mean, yeah, he did just sign the extension, but he could be trade fodder here if he doesn't get it together. If Lekkerimäki can bring the things he's been doing in the AHL to the NHL, there's plenty of defensive insulation to keep him in an offensive role. So, yeah, he likely has he probably hears some footsteps coming up behind him here.
Any more downs that you wanted to point out before we move on?
I mean, not to pile on the reffing, but I have no idea how that is an interference on Anderson when he completely moves his skating path to jump in front of Sherwood there when Sherwood blew by him. That's should be an interference penalty automatically. It doesn't matter if you knock him over or not. You're impeding his route to the puck, and that is by all means obstruction interference. And then I guess poor Miller there sacrificing future Millers, creating traffic in front of the net. So let's hope that.
So I didn't see that. Is that what happened? He ended up taking the puck to the groin. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I saw a replay there on online, and it definitely looks like he took her right in the cup. So
he's already got a couple.
Makes more sense why he was doubled over there on the bench.
Luckily, I think I think he's got 2 kids, right, or 1 or 2. So.
Yeah, maybe he's done.
Yeah, maybe he's all right. He doesn't even need to go and see the vasectomy man. He's got it done live on the air in front of the hundreds of thousands of people that are watching.
Shades of Sammy Sallow in the cracked cup.
Yeah. So what the next thing I want to talk about, obviously, Jeannot. He did get the suspension, but today we did get the news that unfortunately it looks like Boeser is going to be out indefinitely, which is not a great look, which means he could be out for an extended period of time. We've talked about this. What's your idea when it comes to suspensions for people who have injured someone? Because we've talked about this a little bit off the air.
Well, it's frustrating as a fan when you lose a star player for an indefinite amount of time due to a predatory issue. I understand the game happens fast, and sometimes hits are just hits to the head, and they get a 2-game suspension, and that's fine. But Jeannot's already eligible to play in a game on Saturday, and he's a fourth line plug. So it's frustrating that Boeser could be out for who knows, maybe the rest of this calendar year and not playing till January or something by the sounds of things right now. Um, I think on match penalty calls, an injury should potentially determine the length of the suspension. Um, the definition of a penalty in the rule book is an attempt to injure another player. If you're going out of your way to try and do that and you succeed in injuring that player, I think the punishment should fit the crime. Um, there are other moments where slashing or you trip somebody and they hit the boards funny. There's lots of plays that happen where there is no malicious intent to injure. Um, However, too many times we see players around the league missing games because of a fourth line player targets a star and takes him out. And it's not just Canucks players. But we've seen it a number of times where we feel like our stars get liberties taken on them that other stars around the league don't. So, um, what do you feel would be a good solution for something like this?
I mean, I'm on board with it. There is obviously a lot of logistics when it comes to changing the rules around suspensions and stuff like that. And I mean, the prime example of that would be like the Bertuzzi incidents, which is the most prototypical revenge story, right? So if we went by
Yes.
the letter of the law, like we talk about, you're out as long as the player's out. Steve Moore never played another game in the NHL. So in that situation, I think there would have to be maybe an arbitration hearing or some kind of a high council meeting. I don't know, get a bunch of people sitting in chairs judging him. Um,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, especially when it comes to these kind of guys, like you said, we got a fourth line plug now taking out one of the best goal scorers in the league and the best goal scorer probably on the Canucks. And if he's out for this extended period of time, that could be, it could for a different team, maybe not the Canucks, because I feel like they're going to make the playoffs pretty easily. But if you're a team that's just on the verge of making the playoffs and now you don't have your best goal scorer and you miss the playoffs, you're looking at it from an owner standpoint too. That's millions of dollars in revenue that you'd be missing out on, and they can't be happy about that kind of thing. So I definitely think they need to have a look at that. Somehow connect the length of the injury to the length of the suspension.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Crosby went through early in his career with a couple of the headshots he took, and guys weren't really even suspended for a couple of those hits, I don't think.
Yeah.
And then you get, and you're always going to have like those weird incidents like the Bertuzzi incident or like McSorley slashing Berkshire in the head and stuff like that. Those are one-off incidences, non-hockey plays, non-hockey related. So those obviously deserve their own looks. But when it comes to like these blindsided hits that they've been talking about since Matt Cook ended Mark Savard's career, they've been trying to get them out of the game, and giving guys 1, 2, 3 games is not the way to do it. If you hurt a guy, sorry, you're sitting until that guy comes back. It's just the way it needs to be. If people are actually going to learn a lesson, then they're actually forfeiting some real salary and things like that.
Yeah. So on to the next one. The thing that everyone's excited about to see tonight, Mr. Lekkerimäki in the game. What did you see from him so far playing on that top line with Miller?
So far, he looks confident out there. He's carrying the puck with some ease through the neutral zone. He's using his body on the forecheck, which is good to see. You obviously hope he brings the same ability to find open ice and get shots through that he's been bringing in the AHL so far. You can tell he's been playing against men in the Swedish Hockey League for the majority of his junior career. Just the way he brings confidence to play against those bigger guys, and he doesn't look out of place out there like some smaller guys will shy away. It's nice to see that he's getting in there, looking for the puck and wanting to be part of the offense.
I think you can
The
kind of
knock
see
is
the similarity to Pettersson's game and the way he uses his body too, right? Because Pettersson throws those reverse hits and he throws hits, and it's not like he's, laying people out, putting them to the ground, but he's using his body to separate people from pucks, which is actually the definition of a body check, right? So very similar to what you see from Pettersson. Lekkerimäki seems like he's already doing that.
Yeah, he's got a real wide stance, wide skating stride, and that lowers the center of gravity, which allows him to use his weight a little more to his advantage. What little weight he has, anyways.
Yeah.
And obviously the knock is his defensive play, but he's young and smart, and that game isn't needed from him right now. We want him to be offensive. We want him to shoot the puck. There's plenty of veterans on the team to insulate defensively. I hope you've heard Murph and Shorty talk about it. Talk its words saying, don't be shy, shoot the puck. Miller's not going to be mad if you shoot the puck. That's what he's here for. So hopefully he's here, can spark the offense, and he's shown already he has an elite shot and hockey sense. And in the small number of games that he's played for Abbotsford, he's playing at a point per game pace right now through 7 games played. So I know he's already exceeded the club's expectations right out of the gate, and hopefully he can continue to do that at the pro level.
I'm just having a quick look here because I don't think I saw Lekkerimäki with a shot yet. He's got a hit, a giveaway, a hit, and a giveaway.
Yeah.
So he hasn't have a shot yet, but we'll look to see that because I wouldn't be surprised. I believe he's lined up on the second power play unit. So if they get a power play, you might see that shot get unloaded, but doesn't have a shot so far tonight.
Yeah, and it's going to take a minute to get his legs under him with that line anyways. And once they find some space and create a little extra space, he'll be getting that shot off. He finds a way.
Yeah, he's got 4:20 in ice time in the first period, which is nice.
Heyo.
So from the newest Canuck to one of the oldest Canucks, Mr. Burrows, in the news today. He has been, it's been announced today that he will be inducted into the ECHL Hall of Fame, which is great. Started his career down there. What other than the Dragon goal, what's your Burrows moment for the Canucks, and what did he mean to this team?
He's one of the most beloved Canucks of all time. Just because he played the game the way you want somebody to play the game in a market like ours. He left everything on the table every single game. He played every single game like it was the Stanley Cup final. One of my favorite memories of him is when he basically saved AV's job by breaking the winless streak we had going. And he had a shorthanded breakaway goal against Carolina, and I remember him pretending to break the stick over his knee and everything, like snapping the streak, and it just turned the team around, and that catapulted them into the team that then went on to push for the Stanley Cup and win President's trophies and stuff like that. So he meant so much to the complete turnaround of that team finally finding their identity and becoming the dominant force they were for that few years.
I'm going to read a list to you right now, and you're going to recognize it very quickly. Magnus Arvidsson, Louis Eriksson, Steve Bernier, Sam Gagner, Marcus Granlund, Jason King, Trent Klatt, Taylor Pyatt, Ryan Kessler, Yannick Hansen, Anson Carter, Radim Verbata, Marcus Naslund, Mikael Samuelsson, Yannick Hansen. These are all players that play with Sedins. These are all players that were drafted. And I mean, the draft time varied. Some of them were drafted first round, some of them were drafted seventh round. But at the end of the day, Alex Burrows never got drafted. And he was the best line mate, right? Undrafted.
To the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, in the Ring of Honor, going to the ECHL Hall of Fame. When I was researching this today, he also won 6 consecutive Canadian Ball Hockey Championships. He won 2 gold medals at the International Ball Hockey Championship, and he's already a member of the Canadian Ball Hockey Association Hall of Fame and the International Street and Ball Hockey Hall of Fame. So for not being drafted, he's got a lot of decorations to put in his cabinet already.
Yeah, and I think he was inducted to the Ball Hockey Hall of Fames in like 2005, before his hockey career even took off.
He hadn't even stopped playing ball hockey at that point, because I think he won the championship in 2006 in Canada as well. So he'd already been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he was still playing the game.
Yeah, And it all started with like I think the Greenville Growl or something like
Yeah.
that. And the ECHL team, they have 3 R's in the Growl. Like
Yeah.
that's the type of hockey league he started in, and he found his way into the hearts of Canucks fans, and he will be forever remembered as probably the best line mate the Sedin's ever had.
Yeah. And I mean, other than the Dragon goal, I think the one that sticks out for me was was it game 1 or 2 where he scored was it the only goal of the game in that wraparound in overtime, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, that was game 2. Yeah, game 2.
Yeah, wild. So just give us a little sneak preview. We'll talk a little bit more in the post-game show. I think we're coming up pretty quick here on the second period, but the Abbey Canucks the other night, I asked for a little bit of love and a little bit of support because the Canucks got whacked 7-3, and he had told me that the Abbotsford Canucks also lost. What was the score in the game the night after? Or I guess
the night after they bounced back with a nice 4-2 victory over Bakersfield to snap the 2-game losing streak. So it was nice to see. They started to show some defensive structure. They played really tight in the first period and throughout the rest of the game. So we talked about forwards losing their man in their own end, and they seem to be cleaning that up. DPD's playing quite well. Akito Hiroshi scored his first professional goal. The Klim Reaper had another wicked snapshot under the bar on the power play, and he's starting to find a really good offensive touch. I wouldn't be surprised if he was an injury call-up later in the season, or if Lekkerimäki doesn't quite fare well and has to go back down. I could see Klimovich coming up in his stead. So it was a good game overall. We can talk more about it after the game.
Was it Klimovich's 4th season with the Abbotsford Canucks now, right? Or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll follow up a little bit more about the Canucks, so get into a little bit, but good to see them get that big win.
Yep.
So enjoy the second period here, brother, and then we'll see you again for the post-game show.
Sounds good, sir.
Take it easy, brother.
Nothing is perfect.